Hey everybody, welcome back to the Pet Food Puzzle Guy. Today we are going to answer the question, why do veterinarians recommend certain pet foods? Why do they recommend for your dog a certain dog food or your cat a certain cat food? And we're probably going to do a couple examples of this, but let's just jump right into it. I'm going to show you an ingredient panel. I'll put it over here. And I wanted to take a look at this ingredient panel because it looks, I think you're going to like it. We see lamb. Everybody loves lamb. Lamb is the first ingredient. Lamb is also, our lamb meal is the second ingredient. So there's lots of lamb in here. We've got sweet potatoes. We have egg product. Now, egg product is a protein source, a great source of amino acids, highly digestible. It's like the perfect protein source. So with all that lamb and with all that egg, got lots of protein there. As a matter of fact, if you look further down, what do we find? Roasted lamb. So this is a pretty nice looking ingredient panel. I would imagine you would consider this a high quality food based on this ingredient panel. Hey, it's got blueberries, and everybody knows that blueberries are great as an antioxidant. So, so what do you think? Is this a diet that you might might consider trying this food? Okay, so let's take a look at another diet. Here's another ingredient panel, and I'll make it nice and big so you can see it. Well, what do we find? The first and second ingredients, brown rice and brewer's rice. Now, brewer's rice is a byproduct of what? The brewing process. So that's a byproduct rice. The next ingredient is chicken fat. Now, that's the primary energy source in the diet. Then we've got some grains, and then finally we see lamb there. And of course, if you know anything from my videos, lamb would be mostly water weight. Not mostly, but the majority of it would be water weight because of meat, the nature of meat being high in moisture. The next ingredient is egg product, and that's great. We've already confirmed that egg is a great protein source, biologically high digestibility, great source there. Dried beet pulp, well, that's the fiber source, that's fine. And then we have two more plant-based proteins, soybean meal and corn gluten meal. And then it goes on to other things. So, okay, everybody out there, you've been looking at ingredient panels, you just looked at another one. What do you think of this one? You ready to rush out and buy this? How would you put this on a scale of 1 to 10? Would this be 10 being the highest quality diet, or would you be at 1, the lowest quality, based on that ingredient panel? And you'll notice there are no blueberries in this diet. I just want to point that out, okay? So, got two very different diets. What do you think? So let's do this a little different now. Plenty of people like to get on the internet on these videos, and they say, I'm not a veterinarian, but they all seem to say that they're nutritionists somehow. So I'm just gonna, whatever, that's fine. I'm not a veterinarian. I've worked with veterinarians for 34 years. I've met a lot of them, worked with them, taught a lot of them, learned a lot from them. So I'm gonna, hopefully they won't be offended, but I thought the best way to do this, I'm actually gonna make believe I'm a veterinarian. The same way people like to make believe that they're a pet nutritionist, I'm gonna make believe I'm a veterinarian. So I'm gonna be Dr. Glenn, and I think what we'll do is we're gonna have a dog named Buddy. And Buddy, let's make him 10, 11 years old. Okay, so he's getting on the older side there, medium size. And unfortunately, the problem is we have just diagnosed Buddy with chronic kidney disease or renal disease. I might call it one or the other, but it's chronic renal disease. His kidneys are shutting down. Much of that is age-related. Kidney disease is definitely usually an age-related disease. It's very unfortunate when you see it in young pups. But so Buddy has kidney disease. As a veterinarian, how do I manage kidney disease, and what diet would be best for Buddy? So remember, I am not a veterinarian. I am just playing one on TV, okay? So I'm Dr. Glenn, and you're Mrs. Jones. So Mrs. Jones, just like we talked about on the phone, Buddy's blood work does definitely show that he is suffering from chronic kidney disease, just as we suspected. I see a lot of it. It's very common in dogs Buddy's age. And if I want you to think about the kidneys are basically a filtering system for the blood. It filters out all the toxins and everything from the blood, and also balances some other body fluids and functions. So the kidneys are important. The sneaky thing about kidney disease is these organs work so well, they're so efficient that we don't really see signs or symptoms in a dog until maybe 2/3, 3/4 of kidney function is gone. So that's good news and bad news. Bad news because the disease has been going on a while and we haven't detected it till now. The good news is these darn organs are pretty darn tough. And if we can now address and help them out, we can help Buddy out a lot. So that's what we're going to do. There's a couple different ways to approach it. I will tell you, though, our mission basically is to, one, get Buddy eating because he doesn't feel good, so he's not eating, just like when we have the flu, something like that. And he needs those calories. He needs protein. It's called cachexia. It's a fancy vet word for muscle wasting due to a disease. So the same way as we age, we lose muscle if we don't work out and exercise. But cachexia is a little different. It's muscle wasting that you can't replace because of the disease. So it's really important that he's getting nutrition, and right now he just doesn't even want to eat. And those toxins in his blood are building up to where he just feels awful. So again, he doesn't want to eat. So we have to address all that, and that's what we're going to do. And the easiest, quickest way to do that is with diet. It's really important that you understand that from now on, any food you feed Buddy, because of his condition, if it's not designed to manage his kidney disease, it's actually going to be kind of harmful, because what it's going to do is build up nitrogen waste in his system. It's just going to be working against what we're trying to do. It's going to put a heavier workload on the kidney function that's left. So again, please don't go out to PetSmart or somewhere like that and just pick foods based on ingredients or pretty bags or whatever. That was fine up till now. Now it's important that we actually use a diet designed for Buddy's condition. Does that make sense? So the first thing we need to do is get him eating, and the diet that I'm going to send you home with today has actually been taste tested on dogs in uremic crisis. In other words, dogs that are feeling lousy from kidney disease. What good is a diet that, if I send you home with it, that it's been taste tested on happy, healthy dogs? That's not going to help us. We need a diet that we know dogs in uremic crisis, or dogs that are suffering from kidney disease, they want to eat this food. And that is really, as I'm sure you'd agree, that's the most important thing I want to see. I want to hear from you tomorrow that, hey, Buddy's eating again. That's really critical, okay? This diet, it's kind of neat, not to get too into it, but I found it pretty fascinating. On the bag, you'll see it says EAT technology, kind of a fancy marketing term, but EAT, E-A-T, and it stands for Enhanced Appetite Trigger. And kind of a fancy term, but the idea is what they did, a bunch of nutritionists got together and they got these animals, these dogs. They did it with cats too, and they're even tougher than dogs. And they said, okay, what are the ingredients that a dog suffering from renal disease would actually like? Because just like us, we may love pizza with everything on it when we're happy and healthy, but then if we have the flu, I don't think we want to eat that pizza, right? Same thing with Buddy here. We want to make sure we're giving ingredients that he actually will accept and eat. The other, they looked at shape and smell, because same way, when you feel ill, certain things just don't appeal to you. So they did a lot of studies that way. I found the last part being the best, most interesting. They actually looked at those ingredients that dogs would eat in uremic crisis, but what they found was different combinations really turned them off. And probably the best way to explain that is if I put ketchup on my hot dogs or hamburgers, I love that. That's great. But please, I don't want to see anybody putting ketchup on their scrambled eggs. That just grosses me out. Even though I like ketchup and I like scrambled eggs, I don't like them together. So that's what they did, and that's why it was so important to this EAT technology to make sure these dogs would actually eat the food. And again, they've done it with cats, or even a harder patient than dogs. So that's important. We got to get Buddy eating. The other is just as critical. We've got to reduce the workload on those kidneys. And normal protein sources like lots of meat and high protein diets and all that, which may be well and good for Buddy when he was young and healthy, now are a detriment to his health. So we're going to totally change that around. We are going to lower the protein a little bit, but he still needs all that available protein for that muscle wasting I mentioned. And what's neat about this diet, just shows you the science going on here, they actually took amino acids, that's what protein's made of, and they've added them to the diet. So instead of just adding meat protein that the kidneys have to deal with and break down, they're just adding the broken down amino acids. So Buddy's getting all the available protein for his muscle, but his kidneys don't have to deal with that added protein. The other thing too, whenever you add protein, like a normal diet, it's going to be pretty high in phosphorus. Some of those grocery foods are grocery and even premium foods can be really excessive in phosphorus because they don't control it. We need to control that now for Buddy. It's a matter of fact, the phosphorus, if you in vet school, they explain that the phosphorus is even more critical that be reduced than the protein. So that's what this diet does, and it comes available in canned and dry. The dry is less expensive than canned, but I will tell you, I really like canned food for Buddy with his condition, because for those kidneys, added extra moisture is really good for him. So that's up to you. We could go with dry, we could go with canned, we can mix it. The diet is the same, and it is a lamb flavor, so it's the same lamb as you've been giving with the Taste of the Wild here. So that's the first thing we're going to do. There's some other things, but I wanted you to understand diet is so critical now, and it's so simple. We have to feed him anyway. Let's get him started on that so that we can start reversing the damage to the kidneys, get his blood levels normalized to where he starts feeling better, get him eating again, and that's what we want. So we know Mrs. Jones is feeding Taste of the Wild, and there's that ingredient panel that I'm sure you liked so much with all that fresh lamb. And there's the bag there. Shows you a few nervous bighorn sheep that don't like to see the wolves around. That's on the bag for some drama, I guess. But that was a pretty good looking food. That's the diet that Buddy needs to come off of. And he needs to go on to a prescription diet to deal with his renal disease. And this is the product that he needs to go to, prescription diet KD. And I will show you just for reference, here's that ingredient panel again. Whoa, hold on. You mean to tell me we're gonna take a dog off that wonderful product that had such a great ingredient panel with all that fresh stuff and natural stuff, and we're gonna put them on a diet with all that crap in it? That doesn't seem to make any sense to me at all. So why is Dr. Glenn recommending KD instead of the Taste of the Wild that Buddy's been on? Well, we're gonna use dietary management here. Like he said, I need a diet that's designed to manage Buddy's condition. So first of all, protein. It was 7.1 grams. We're bringing that down to 3.6. So just about half. Oh, that's too low in protein. He's got muscle wasting. He needs protein. Well, remember, this is a diet designed for kidney disease. So please understand that 3.6 grams of protein, that is still a level that even a normal healthy dog could eat. That's not restricted to the point of being below what they need. That's according to AFCO, NRC, whatever. We've just gotten so accustomed to high protein diets that we don't realize how high we've gone. When Buddy was younger and had healthy kidneys, that high protein wasn't really an issue. Now it is a big issue. So we're gonna reduce the protein. And calcium, again, not totally addressing kidney disease, but it was 440 milligrams in the Taste of the Wild. We're bringing that down to 184. So that's even less than half. The phosphorus, which is critical for Buddy's condition, it was at 280 in the Taste of the Wild. We're bringing that down to 75 milligrams from 280. And I will touch on that in a second. Sodium level does affect kidney health. That is true. Dr. Glenn didn't bring that up. It's 80 milligrams in the Taste of the Wild. It's only 41 milligrams in the KD, so it's half again. And the vitamin E level, that antioxidant to help with the oxidative stress, the free radical damage that's going on in Buddy's cells. The Taste of the Wild was at 8.3, and the vitamin E level in KD is double that at 16.7. Okay, actually at researched levels where we can actually measure how free radical damage is being done. So that is the reason. It's all the nutrients, the dietary management, delivering the right nutrients for Buddy's condition. Dr. Glenn wasn't looking at ingredient panels. You, on the other hand, and no fault of your own, it's just from the marketing and the threads I hear out there and the videos that I watch. Oh, no, that prescription diet is crap. Look at that ingredient panel. Because you've been trained to look at the ingredient panel and not look at what the diet does nutritionally. So why is Dr. Glenn so confident about making that recommendation? Because he knows that diet has been formulated and tested by the top veterinary nutritionists in the country and chemists. He knows it's been through peer-reviewed studies, and he's just one of thousands of veterinarians that have used that diet to help thousands, literally thousands of dogs and cats suffering from renal disease. That's why he recommends it so confidently. And here's what Dr. Glenn didn't say, because he's a good guy and he didn't want to offend Mrs. Jones, okay? Why are the mineral levels in that product so high? She's so proud of the fact she's a good pet parent and buys that expensive food with all those wonderful ingredients. He doesn't want to break her heart that if you actually look at the nutrient levels, they're extremely excessive, even based on the whole industry, extremely excessive. Is that because that company has a board certified nutritionist that feels that's what the levels should be? Or is it because the meat sources they're using, all that lamb that they mentioned in their ingredient panel, it must have hoof, hair, bones, chicken lips, I don't know. There's something in there driving that phosphorus and calcium level up. You can't hide behind your mineral content. That would not be that high if they were using actual pure meat sources that were filtered out all the bad stuff. That's what KD does, but it's clearly not what Taste of the Wild does, because again, look at the phosphorus level. They didn't add phosphorus to the diet. That's in there because of the meat sources. And that's what those of you that just look at ingredient panels, you get burned every time. And it really makes me angry when there's veterinarians out there that will look at that prescription diet KD and say it's crap. Shame on them. They should know better. So I hope this is helpful. I'm going to do a few more. I think Dr. Glenn hasn't gone away. He's going to come back. Maybe we'll do a feline urinary diet or something like that. So I hope that's been helpful. Please leave me a comment. Tell some of your pet parent friends about my channel. I'm having a blast, so I just want to share it with as many people as I can. Take care.